All right, in part 3, we're going to add a moon and put it up in the blue part of the sky there. Well, the whole sky is blue, so put it up in the sky there. I'm going to go back to Lightroom and we'll see that another one of our demo files is this fairly high-res image of the moon. No, I did not shoot that. I just pulled it off the internet. Found a high-res JPEG and download it, and there we go. When you are putting elements that you didn't shoot into your composites, do make sure that they are high enough resolution. You don't want to try to take some small resolution image and then blow it up into an image if that doesn't have that resolution, or it won't hold up. This image has got plenty of resolution, plus I'm going to make it small. So we're going to open this up. I'm not going to make this a smart object. No reason to make a JPEG into a smart object. I'm simply going to go to Photo, Edit in Adobe Photoshop. And yes, I'll open it with Lightroom adjustments, but it really doesn't matter because it doesn't have any adjustments. And there it is in Photoshop. Just like before, I'm going to tile all of these vertically and then simply drag that layer across onto my main image. It's going to give me this warning about the target, the different bit depth, because that's just a JPEG. I'm just going to say yes, that's fine. And I don't worry about this profile mismatch. It's fine too. Now I'm going to go and arrange and consolidate all two tabs. Here's the image. Unlike before, I'm not going to select this moon element and mask the rest. What I'm going to do is use a blending mode, and this will give us a chance to learn about blending modes. Before I even get to that though, I'm going to go to the Edit menu and Edit, Transform, Scale. And let's just go ahead and scale and move this as needed up into the sky. I'm going to put it about there, maybe just a little bit smaller than that. And double click, and there's my transformation. You'll see that the moon has this black background outlying area. Keep that in mind that it's black, and that's going to be to our advantage. If I go to my layers palette, and I'll zoom in here for a second, this area, the blending mode, controls how this image that I'm on, this layer that I'm on, is seen, how it is seen relative to the layers below it. When it's in normal, then we simply see this completely opaque against its background layers. But if I open this up, I can change the blending mode to a few different things. And you'll actually see as you scroll over that little image element changing. So before I actually choose these elements, if I just hover over darken, you'll see that we only see the moon element where it is darker than its background. Where it's darker than that deep blue sky, you see it. Well, that looks completely wrong. If I go to multiply, now we see the darkness multiplied against the background. So where the background is, or I should say where the image element is black, we see completely black. Where it is absolutely pure white, it would disappear. Where it is just a little darker than white, we see the image look a little darker in that area. I'm going to skip over color burn, linear burn, darker color. Let's go down to lighten. Now when I hover over lighten, it looks a lot better. What lighten does is it shows me that image element or that layer anywhere that it is lighter than the background. So the white parts of the moon look great, but the darker parts of the moon where they're darker than the blue sky, they just kind of disappear. It looks like there's sort of like a hole cut in them, and that's not what the moon looks like. But if I go to screen, which is the next blending mode down, and I'm going to click on this because this is the one I want to use, what screen does is anywhere this image is slightly lighter than black, we get a lighter image as a result. So the black completely disappears, but anywhere that the moon is just a little bit lighter than black, and I'll zoom in and show you, like just in this area where it's just a little bit lighter than black, the image gets lighter in that area. Where it's much lighter than black, then we get much lighter. And so that really makes a fairly believable moon in the sky, and I didn't have to do any masking, selecting, any of that stuff. It's kind of ready to go, super easy. The only thing that I would have left to say about this moon is it's a little sharp. Maybe I'll zoom in within Photoshop. It's a little sharp in terms of its resolution compared to the other image elements. You can see that the wall here is not quite as sharp. It doesn't look quite as in focus. The moon looks more in focus than the wall, and that would be impossible since the moon is farther away. So the next thing I'm going to do is add a little blur onto that moon, and I'll do this while I'm zoomed in so I can really see the difference. If I go up to the filter menu, down to blur, I'm just going to choose Gaussian blur. It's a really simple blur, and you can play with the other blurs if you have a chance, but I'm going to now kind of run this blur up little by little by little, and you can see we're getting more and more blurred. Obviously that's way too much, so I'm going to back it down, and I'm going to kind of watch the wall in the foreground and see where do I feel that those two are about the same amount of focus. And I would say maybe somewhere around there looks about right. So I'll click OK. Let me hit Command 0 and back out, and we see all of the elements together, and we basically have our completed image. Obviously any one of these elements, if you wanted to add further adjustment layers with clipping masks, you could further adjust them individually. As I just showed you with the blur, you could blur an image element. I could blur the seated model if I felt that she was a little bit sharp for the background. But otherwise, there you have it. That is the completed composite called the Dreamers.